All right. We workshopped the title of this show for so long, and that's the best we got.
We really did. It took so long to figure out what to name this show.
Yeah, and a lot of the people involved at the Ant were like, should it be something like short and snappy and really easy to digest? Mm-hmm. And we were like, absolutely not.
No, we didn't want to sell out to the mainstream. You know what I mean? We didn't want to make a show like all the other shows with easy to understand titles, things that are just like really simple to to digest. We wanted to make this show something special. And,
you know what? Nice, short, snappy titles that will stick in your brain and make you remember the show. That's for Hollywood. It's success people.
That's for the old days. That's for it's outdated. We're fresh. We're new. We're coming at you. And we have our special guest Mahmoud. Give it up for Mahmoud. We can't hear your applause, but I'm sure you're applauding right now. Thank you. Mahmoud's giving it up for himself.
Yes.
So, like a couple weeks ago, Mahmoud approached me and was saying like, "Hey, maybe we could get a show, something up there that's like a something in the training center, something for people from the training center to just hang out and watch and ask questions or talk about stuff." And so, being involved at the Planet Ant Training Center, I took way too long to get it started, but got it started this week. So here we are.
Hey, you know what? None of us can be hard on ourselves for taking too long to get stuff going during this. It's phenomenal that we've been able to do anything at all except lay on the couch and stare at the ceiling.
I know. It's like that's kind of what this thing. I mean. Yeah, it's a tough time. It's a weird time, and to do.
Yeah. So how's your lockdown going, Mahmoud?
It's not bad. Not bad, relatively. I was like expecting kind of. I was following like the spread, like going from Italy, going to here. So I was like kind of expecting that it will reach this stage. But hopefully it will end soon. So I spend most of the time in the house, but I still do sport, try to keep things like some structure. Like because in the beginning I was like waking up, then the day is over. So I try like to do something like that by the end of the day, like something like accomplished. So that even like if it's like 1 hour or 2 hour, like being productive.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of like cooking projects.
Me too.
I made beef brisket, and that took like a whole day to do barbecue, right?
Yep.
And we did like a big steak dinner one night, and we made homemade pizza last night. So we're doing a bunch of stuff in the kitchen that we've never tried before.
Yeah, I agree. It's a great time like to learn new things because like there's so much time that you can really learn new things. Like cooking is like a great way, and even learning a new language or a new accent. Like last time came to my mind like to learn a new accent that can be used in improvising.
Are you working on any accents right now?
I already have one accent, like by nature, but I'm trying to develop more.
We all have accents.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah, ours is just all through the nose. That's what our accent is in Michigan. You want some pop?
Yeah, I'll have some pop.
Yeah.
You want to go up north?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I think like improvisers are a great community, like to keep in touch and have some social activities or things like to keep in touch, like keep things going. Like it's our improvisation. We can improvise how to do things. Like this is what's nice.
Yeah. This is the longest I have ever gone since I started improv without being on stage. This is longer than the break I took when I broke my arm. This is longer than the break I took when I got married. So it's tough. I know we're all going to be rusty when we get back. But we've been trying to do a couple of things. It's just different, like to do short form over a Zoom call. We haven't, I don't know if that we've quite figured out how to make it as engaging and entertaining as an actual improv show would be, or if we ever will.
Well, that's one of the things I actually wanted to talk about today was what can we do? How can we do improv in this world now? You know what I mean? Because it's totally different. I mean, improv relies on the audience's imagination to be engaged and to give life to the scene in a way that's like, oh, we're creating the background, we're creating the objects, we're all working together, and our imaginations are filling in all the pieces. But when you're on video, that just doesn't work the same way. You can't really.
Well, I think that's the hardest part about it is that it is. We as improvisers all know it's incredibly difficult enough to create a shared environment and world on stage with everybody working in tandem. When you take the physical space away from it, and then everything that you're creating is completely mental. I don't know that we're ever going to be able to in this format make worlds as real and immediate as we can on stage. And I think that's why most of the improv you've seen in this format has been almost exclusively short form stuff.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we were talking about that with the BCT.
Yeah, I agree. I think there should be like a way, like maybe not everything can be taken to the online platform, but maybe some of the things that can be taken, like sketch writing or working on developing like plays or ideas that can be done once things are relaxed. I think this can be done.
Definitely some writing projects. I've seen stuff going on. I personally like Andy said, it's during a pandemic. We're winning just by not laying there staring at the ceiling, right? So I haven't really been doing a lot of productive stuff myself, but I've had some daydreams of working on some projects, or possibly like an idea that I had that I thought might be fun would be coming up with a show with a random audience members, just have them watch the thing and then we write the thing together as it's being developed. Come up with characters, come up with plot points, and just have everybody involved in writing an actual one-act comedy play online live, and just do live streams that just make that happen, But when it comes to actually doing improv, though, I do think that there's ways to do it with the technology that we have that could make it a bit more engaging. And some stuff that I think that we could even try on this stream next week, possibly. One of the things I was thinking about is, we have the ability to basically cut our heads out. We can take our heads, even if we don't have a green screen, we can make the frame as tight as possible on our heads, and have our heads be put onto other people's bodies in different situations. So that would help the audience give that leap to fill in the imagination that's needed to accept that this is the reality that we're in. You know what I mean? So we possibly could get away with it. I
don't know, Mike. I've had plenty of experiences switching my face and head with other people's faces and heads and switching bodies, and I'm telling you right now, it's very scary, and I don't recommend it.
Do you start to crave things that the other people likes to eat and stuff?
Yeah, and sometimes you're way taller than you are in normal life, and sometimes you're way shorter, and then it you don't want to switch bodies with a kid right before your family goes to Six Flags.
You can get arrested for that.
Yeah, or just not be able to ride any of the cool roller coasters.
But what do you think, Mom?
Yeah.
Any ideas on
Yeah, I think this is. We can just try it. I believe we can try things. This is the only way, I think, to make it happen. Like the jam with Aline was very nice. Like I watched it like twice.
Ellen's jam on Mondays that she's doing Monday nights.
Yeah, so it's a great idea, and people even can try it like maybe offline at the beginning. They feel like more free, like to say anything and just be creative. And even like if things like they find out the best way to do it, they can then take it like into online, or even the same recording they can put it on YouTube if people interested.
Alex Bergmans, we have a listener question. Alex Bergmans wants to know, how the fuck do I play sit, stand, kneel?
You can just do it, and you don't have to do any of the standing up or sitting down or kneeling. You can just have just your head. Like we could play it right now really easily. Let's get a suggestion from the audience. Let's just do sit, stand, and kneel real quick. What do you guys think?
Okay.
Molly, do you have a, or Paul, or let's see, Caitlin, Coates is in there. There's a bunch of people in there. If we get a suggestion for a sit, stand, and kneel scene, we can do it right now. You guys are just going to have to fill in with your imagination that we are sitting, standing, or kneeling.
I'm gonna really sit, stand, and kneel.
Yeah,
I think we can do it. I think you could do it.
Okay. Let's try it. Let's try it. Peanuts. I heard peanuts. Okay. As a suggestion. The game is sit, stand, and kneel, and so here's how it works. One of us will be having to stand at all times. One of us will be sitting, and one of us will be kneeling. If one of the players is not sitting, standing, or kneeling, it's up to you guys in the audience to call us out.
All right, here we go.
Just type "boo" in all caps, "boo" if we're screwing it up. My cat in the background, HP, is not playing, however, but he will be wandering around as this goes. So, Mahmoud, are you ready?
I can try.
All right, sit, stand, and kneel. And the suggestion is peanuts. We're just going to go with the first one, peanuts, and lights up.
Mom, Dad, you guys know I'm allergic to these M&M peanuts, so what the frick?
I just wish that you would eat your peanuts, son. I think that by exposure to the peanuts, you will overcome your allergies with God's will.
Oh my God.
That the peanut are the best in this time because the virus cannot resist it.
Mom, you're always... You're always talking about how I can fight my allergy to peanuts and it'll make me resistant to the virus, but I don't know that there's any science behind what you're talking about.
It's all trial and error.
Trial and error. Oh, so I can tell you how that's going to go, Mom. Trial 1, I eat peanuts. Trial 2, there is none because I'm dead.
Whoa! Don't talk to your mother with the dead word. Don't say dead to your mother. You know she's very sensitive ever since the...
Son, that's why we have 3 kids.
Yeah, ever since you fed seafood to Alex and he passed away because you guys knew he was allergic.
Well, he was just maybe a little weaker than... Oh, wait. Yep. He's a little bit weaker than than you are, boy.
Yeah, we all miss him.
We do.
Yeah, we all miss him. It was easily avoidable. You just didn't have to feed him the snowshell crab, Mom.
It's so delicious, though.
Yeah.
Aren't you glad you can enjoy snowshell crab?
I am. But that doesn't... I worry that you guys are going to regret feeding me peanuts if I pass away.
Honey, can you hear me, honey?
Yes.
No, not you, boy. I'm talking to my wife. I'm talking to my wife, who doesn't seem to want to move around all anymore.
It's all your dad's fault.
I knew it.
It's my fault? Oh, I'm getting a
divorce.
I
told him we shouldn't marry because our kids will have a peanut issues.
And scene. So I think we just proved definitively that sit, stand, kneel can work in a coronavirus world.
How well did that work on a scale of 1 to 10, audience? Give us your best estimate of how well that worked.
My favorite part was seeing who had an adjustable camera and who just had to show their torso when they were standing up.
I just basically had to keep my head in the same place, but then push my chair back.
Yeah, I'm on a laptop, so I was just like pushing back the when I was standing up.
Well, we got Caitlin saying it was a 7. Bergman says it was an 8. Molly gave us a coded 4 in a sentence. It looked fun for you guys. Von Wank, whoever that is, that's a 3.
Von Wank did not appreciate our improv there. I'll tell you. Listen, Molly, I'll say this. The greatest compliment that you could give an improviser right after they get off stage is it looked like you guys had fun.
Oh, you had a lot of fun up there, didn't you?
Yeah, you guys looked like you had a lot of fun up there.
You guys had a lot of fun, didn't you?
I love when my family and friends who don't know what improv is come and see my shows and are thoroughly confused by everything they see up there. And reassure me by saying it looked like you guys had fun.
Paul Parka gives it an 8.3. I think that's pretty good.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's a success.
Yeah.
What else? What else do we got?
Yeah, I think improv is fun. Improv is fun.
Improv is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what?
I wholeheartly agree. Improv is fun.
I finally decided that improv is fun.
My grandma came to one of my shows. I was in this troupe called the Elastic Time Cannon, and we did a very heavily involved form that kind of experimented with timeline. So there was a lot of it's set up like a herald. So there's 3 scenes, and you see an occurrence, and then the second beat of the herald was the 15 minutes before the first chunk. So you would want to have this, and then this chunk would lead right up into the next chunk, and you would watch us make that connection. And all of our group games were like repeating the same organic opener word for word a bunch of different times in a bunch of different ways. So really an improviser's improv show. If somebody just came in off the street and tried and watched us try this, they would have absolutely no way of knowing what was happening. But it was a real hit with improv nerds. But my grandma came and watched it and had never had any interest in seeing another one of my shows again. She was like, well, that was she goes, it was fun. I'm not sure I get it, but it was fun.
That is like kind of the worst show for a first timer to come see. Like that is.
Oh yeah.
I mean that kind of show. It's so deconstructed. It is so opaque to most people that they'll just be like, "What?"
Yeah, I do. That's something that I am very interested in experimenting with again once we are all able to get back in the same room together, and we allow ourselves some time to readjust and shake the rust off, because there's gonna be a solid like 6 weeks or 2 months where every single improv show in the world is garbage because we all forgot how to do it.
Yeah, it's just gonna be a bunch of people like talking to themselves, basically.
Everybody's going to be way overstimulated and just excited that they can be in a room together, and everybody's just going to be shouting and like making the most crazy choices they possibly could just to like work off all this bullshit they let themselves pent up.
Yep.
But once we get back into the swing of things, I'm very interested in doing another show like that takes a lot of prep work to execute and plan to create a long form theatrical show like that again, because it was a very fun experience. And it's something that we in Detroit do not do a ton of. For whatever reason, Detroit improv is form adverse. We just want to get up and do scenes, which is always fun. I do like to throw in.
To me, I've always kind of thought that it was more based on the audience's thing, because in Detroit, we just don't even have that. We don't have that doorway into the audience with improv like they do in Chicago or New York, where you have a built-in theater audience that's like pretty huge. You know what I mean? And as it is, we have trouble enough getting audiences to understand what's going on with just a straight up long form set.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like
so there's a couple examples from Chicago specifically that I am inspired by. There's a show at Annoyance Theater called Hitch Cocktails.
Oh yeah, you've told me about this. This sounds great. Yeah.
They do a full 90-minute Hitchcock movie. So they obviously took a lot of time as a group to study all Hitchcock tropes, his plot devices, his characters, all of the, he's got a lot of running themes through his movies, like mob mentality is something that he comes back to again and again. People being spied on, paranoia, all that kind of stuff. And they get a suggestion, and they do a whole Hitchcock movie from beginning to end. They tie it up beautifully every time. It's amazing to me.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic.
And on top of that, they have a full wet bar on stage. And at any time a character offers another character a drink, they have to finish it by the end of the scene. So by the end of the 90-minute show, they're doing amazing improv and tying up all these loose ends and finishing a fucking movie, and they're all shit-faced. So it's great.
Yeah. I think
Molly has to go eat a snack. So something like that, Molly I think, could be very...
Update for everybody. Molly has to go eat a snack.
Something like that, I think, can be very, you could.
I love the genre form. I love the genre form improv stuff. I think that's super fun. And to get that into Hitchcock and to really dig into something like that and really dissect it and make that happen for a show every time would be fantastic. And I also love the narrative, building the narrative stuff like that too.
Yeah. And there are a handful of shows around here that do have a very good reputation of having a specific form that people know exactly what they're going to get from them. Like the old ABC Family run was great. Everybody knew exactly what they were in for with that group, and they did it very well. And so it doesn't have to be as involved as something like Elastic Time Cannon, but I am interested right now in adding a little bit of theatricality to our improv.
I'm down.
I agree, and I think a musical improv will be very interesting to
musical improv?
A musical improv.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To do it more and more, and even like for the online, maybe musical improv, maybe easier because people kind of sing and.
In some ways, I think it could be. I think you could do musical improv stuff a little bit easier. Mikey did post a video a while back with just some music, asking for people to create some songs with it. And since the quarantine, I've realized how much I sing. Almost any time I'm just wandering around my house or singing. My cat has gotten so many songs from me. He's my biggest.
Yeah, but because the song kind of dictate the scene, not dictate kind of give you
they give you a
continuity.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I would highly recommend anybody once we're out of this crazy world, getting into the musical improv classes that we offer. Mikey Brown is a fantastic teacher with that, and I had so much fun working with him on that.
Yeah, for real.
I loved it.
I think one of the things that draws people to improv classes that they ultimately lose by taking improv is that thought the first time you see good improv that's like, how are they doing that?
Right.
And there are certain shows where I do still feel that way. Shakespeare, improvised Shakespeare makes me feel that way. The show Trigger Happy at Annoyance made me feel that way. A lot, like really, really good musical improv makes me feel that way. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I noticed like most of the musical improv is with piano, or it can be with any instrument.
When they do Rockomatic at Go, they've had shows where they have a full band, like drum kit, piano, guitar, the whole works. So it's really just with the setup. There are a bunch of different ways that you can use music in your improv. Do you know? Have you ever heard of the Huge Theater in Minneapolis, Mahmoud?
And not really.
They're like a similar size operation as us. I feel like, but they've got a long improv history in that city. And what they'll do is they have, for a lot of their primetime shows, they'll have a designated tech person who does have freedom to, if it's a night scene, to throw up the blues, or like they'll have like a cop light or a fire light.
Into that, I really want.
Yeah, they do that, and then the other thing they have is they have accompaniment, and they're not musical shows in that the scenes turn into singing and dancing. It's like the music in a movie where, like, if it's a tense scene, like he might come in with like a tense piano line. So the end effect is that things tend to look a little smoother, more professional, because they're adding like light elements and soundtrack elements, and it all kind of works together.
Yeah.
So that's something we could experiment with.
And also another thing that we
agree.
talked about before too, Andy, was the improvising on a play set. So like a play has a show, or no, that was Hildreth was talking about that, I think. Where like a show has a play goes up, and the off nights there's an entire set there, and if the improvisers were able to utilize that set, they could make it look like it's a whole play, but improvise the whole thing, but also have that credibility of an actual set behind them and props on the set and things like that would be really cool.
I do miss the days when black box sets were a little more intricate than they are now, because that was always like the Failure, a Love Story set was this huge thing with like a garden like entrance. And the alien set was so cool. Or even like Doomsday with a bunch of like we used to change around the black box space for every production, and we put a lot more into the set production, so there would be paintings on the wall from Jen and different stuff. That was always cool to experiment with. I love, that's one of the first things, if I'm playing in a new space, one of the first things I'll do is I'll get there, I'll check it out, I'll see what the stage looks like, I'll see what the sight lines look like, and I'll see what might be up there that nobody's ever thought to use visually, and try to figure out a way to bring that into the show. Just so I just get so bored with watching two people stand in the middle of a stage and talk at each other.
Agreed. That's the most boring type of improv that there is just watching talking heads.
Yeah.
But now what are we? We are just talking heads.
Yeah, that's all we are. I don't know. I think playing Sit Stand Kneel was a hit. I don't think anybody's ever played it better.
I mean, I probably could have walked to the middle of my office and like actually like kneeled over there and stuff.
Yeah.
The next goal is to do something like slap laugh.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You should do that game where somebody's head is in a bucket of water.
Oh yeah, the oxygen deprivation game.
Yeah.
Mahmoud, what were you gonna say?
And I remember there was workshop of video editing or something, or some studio something that used technology to make like new videos or filmmaking, if I'm not wrong.
Recorded improv.
Yeah.
Well, we did for a long time in Detroit. We did the Neutrino Project, which was an improvised movie that we basically did on the fly. Like, we would start by getting a suggestion at the top and say it was like, peanuts, like we got earlier. And while the other troops were getting there's 6 people, so there'd be 3 different pairs of people. And while the other troops were getting their suggestions, the first 2 were already out the door at the front of the theater, down the street somewhere, filming. And by the time they were done filming, that somebody had grabbed their tape, because it was back when we had tapes with cameras, and they had to run the tape back to the theater, and then the person in the booth would put the tape on, and they would play the first scene of the movie. And then the second scene of the movie would be done by the time that one was done. And then so on and so on and so on until you had basically a herald done on film live while the audience watched it. But of course there was a tape delay of a short amount of time while the runners were going. But it was also a huge undertaking because you had to have a camera person, you had to have actors, you had to have a runner, you had to have just another person there to help. And in addition to that, if you needed anybody to do walk-ons or anything like that, I mean, it was crazy. That's
pretty nuts. Yeah,
I don't think it was accomplished very well, though. I think we always kind of messed it up. I think it was always kind of messed up.
Yeah, and I think it's good time to develop like these skills, maybe like video editing. Like if someone do something like this, I'm not sure there is like free software that someone can use, but take time to learn it. I believe
there definitely is. There's free software. The DaVinci is a free editing program that you can get. That will let you edit video, and you can learn that. There's plenty of videos online to learn that. Personally, I really prefer the Adobe suite of programs, but that's about $20 a month right now if you are a student or an educator. I signed up as an educator for it, and I'm getting it for $20 a month. But it's still it's a little demanding at this time. But I really kind of want to learn a little bit more.
Yeah, I would say in the history of improv, there's not a ton of examples of recorded long form improv made for general audiences. What normally happens with improvisers is that they start doing movies and TV and stop improvising.
Yeah, pretty much.
But so the examples that you can find of improvisers improvising in a recorded setting are like Curb Your Enthusiasm, or the League. The League was a show, a very raunchy show that was mostly improv. But if you have Netflix, Middleditch and Shorts just came out this week. I watched the first episode. I'm watching with my wife. The first episode was phenomenal. They directed it like a stand-up special. They had a bunch. They said I read an interview with them. They had 9 cameras recording the set throughout the theater. So instead of just when we record a set and throw it up on YouTube, it's really hard because it's just a steady cam in the back of the space. And you see everything. You can't get reaction shots. You don't see people's faces that well. You miss out of the intimacy of the improv of seeing it live. So it becomes this kind of like mushy thing that isn't really engaging. I think by having that much coverage and getting all the reaction shots and seeing it and being close up, it really it was a really great approximation of what it is to watch an improv show in a space.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I agree. It's totally different.
I think.
I mean,
I think that it could be
like two on their faces, right? Close-ups on their faces.
Yeah.
One that's like a full body for each, I guess.
Wide.
And then one that's like a 2-shot, and that's only 4 cameras still.
It's like in the wings. Yeah. I mean, it was great. Yeah. My hope is that it opens doors for future long-form projects, whether it's on
well, now
Netflix
that
or
technology
wherever.
has become so much cheaper and accessible. I mean, it's kind of amazing. The program that we're using right now, OBS, that's like open broadcaster software. It's completely free. And about like 15 years ago, having something that would do everything that this does would cost you something like $15,000. I mean, there's no joke. Like it was a huge. I mean, this is a huge step forward as far as technology goes. I mean, it's really amazing.
I thought this could be maybe live improv. I think the best. I agree, but I think this can be used maybe to like as an advertisement for Planet Ant. Like if we have like many activities or many shows, like maybe a little piece of each can be like a nice video as advertisement for like for the community or something. It will be interesting.
Yeah. I think
we got Alex in the comments.
What's he say?
he's making some odd I'm waking around my home. And then Thomas Schultz says, I'm walking now too, Alex. And then Alex Raskov says, sorry I stepped out of the steam. And then he says, I love OBS. And then that's cool, Tom.
Bergman says long form only gets recorded like city council public access, which is absolutely true. And that's the problem.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So and I think one of the reasons that short form has had a long-standing home in the public eye via Whose Line Is It Anyway?
It's easy.
It's easy to explain what's happening, but it's also harder to get a good recording of a long-form set. I think Middleditch and Schwartz hopefully showed people what we can do with it if we want to record stuff. I got into improv through like podcasts. So I was like, when I started learning about it, I really wanted to see my favorite podcast comedians improvise. I really want to see what a full show with Jason Mantzoukas looks like, or what does Andy Daly when he's improvising on stage. You can't find any of those. So in the early 2000s, Bravo did a special with UCB. That's pretty much it. There was one on Showtime, including Ben Schwartz and the cast of the House of Lies. They did a long form set one time, and then that's really it in terms of long form like visibility. So hopefully we can do more of that.
I mean, Dominic Grillo says short form fills seats because it's more interactive with the audience. I don't necessarily agree with that 100%. I mean, if you're doing a commando long form set, I mean, you're getting a suggestion every single scene. You know what I mean? And I think that putting the improv into the framework of a game gives the audience context. So it gives them an expectation, and they know exactly where things are made up. You know what I mean?
Short form has the advantage of walking it out for the audience. Right. So they know exactly what's going to happen in every segment. They understand the rules, and it's explained to them. I don't think it's the audience interaction that makes people, like not uninitiated people, gravitate towards that form more. I think it's the fact that it's more easily accessible and understandable. One of the best comments that you can get as a long form performer is that wasn't made. Yeah, you guys that right? You can tell me that was scripted, right? And that is a hard place to be when the best compliment you can get is you're lying to me. That wasn't made up.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a weird place to be in, I think. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
One thing I liked, not about the improv one event was, I think was run by Elaine, was she called it networking speed dating improvisers, where people like she met like for 5 minutes or 2 minutes, and they talked about like possible projects or possible things they can work together or writings.
Yeah, I remember that event. That seemed like a really cool event that Ellen ran. Yeah. It was where, people would just have 5 minutes to just talk and riff about different projects they were working on, different ideas that they had and stuff like that. I like that. Putting people in a room, getting people talking about what they want to do, Yeah, that's very cool.
This would be like nice thing to try. I'm not sure if it's possible at this time to like...
Oh, you mean like something
that can connect people? Like, if someone have like idea about writing that looking for people to be part of or something, this will be like nice thing to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, I have tried not to set too many expectations for productivity throughout this. I'm there's a couple things I'm writing. There's a couple things I'm writing with other people. And I've had a couple Skype sessions. Bergman's knows what I'm talking about if he's still there. But I want to I also don't want to be too pushy and stuff. So like Bergman's Devin and I have been writing something, and we had a couple meetings a couple weeks ago. And I think it's finding a groove between like being encouraging and getting us to like work on it, and being too pushy and expecting too much from the three of us. So
it's a tricky place to be in right now.
Yeah,
it's really weird. It's a really weird time to be able to try to be productive on a thing that is in essence like you're supposed to have fun doing it, and it's supposed to be enjoyable. I mean, it is work to write a thing, but it's still at the same time you need to have that kind of that energy of goofiness and funness. And sometimes during this pandemic thing, it is not easy to find that place to be in. It's not easy to find that mental place to be able to relax in.
You always have in the back of your mind, like, okay, so we're writing this play. What happens if there's no such thing as theaters ever again?
Jeez, I know. That's a terrifying thing to think about. I mean, how long is this going to go on? What's going to happen? We have no idea. We really don't know. I mean, the stay-at-home order was extended until May 15th, but even that, by a lot of scientists' accounts, say that that's going to be kind of way different when we come back to a regular reality. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I agree. Good to find like the balance, like how to do. But I think like improv could be, or all these things could be like a way of that would keep people like sane in a way, like because if like people, I know like if I'm not doing these things, I would be like watching the news and too much consuming all these things. Then you get like even more stressed. So I think this could be like something positive that will help like people get out of the mood that they are in.
Agreed. I mean, as soon as this thing started. Oh, go ahead, Andy. I'm sorry.
No, go for it.
Well, I was just gonna say, as soon as this thing started, I mean, it was kind of very shocking and very insane. And I thought I was even kind of prepared for it, to be honest. Like I was reading about it way ahead of time. But it still was like very, very weird to come into this. But then one night watching Andy and Darren and Devin on Homerphilia, and I was just like, wow, that made me feel a whole lot better. It made me feel like I'm hanging out with friends, And watching these streams, even if you're not interacting, can make you feel a little bit more normal. It can make you feel like you're actually just hanging out with people and talking. And that's super beneficial.
And that experience has been interesting. For those of you who haven't listened to my aggressively stupid podcast, Homerphilia, our goal was never to really have a podcast where all we talked about was The Simpsons, and the pre-virus tapings is just they're just evidence of our stupidity and our bits. And we just allowed ourselves to go off on crazy tangents. And as we're learning to do this is a new skill set.
Yep.
It's much harder. It's much harder to riff, and it's much harder to like hop on bits when you're not in the same room. In some of our episodes, we just had a straightforward Simpsons podcast.
Finally.
Yeah, finally.
The halcyon days of the Simpsons, of Homerphilia, where they didn't talk about the Simpsons.
Yeah. But now we're getting more comfortable with it. The last couple we've had more success doing like riffs and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's a different way to interact with people you do comedy with.
Yeah, it really is. It's a whole different skill set. Paulo Parca
made a
that's a
classic Simpsons ref.
Mahmoud, have you watched?
Yeah, and I think this could be as in a way like opportunity. Like I believe like everybody like prefer offline like live theater.
Yeah.
But this could be like as in a way opportunity like to reach more audience or because we are now not limited to the audience. Like anybody, if we advertise it like in a nice way, we can like reach more audience and more people. I believe.
Yeah, it's absolutely. When you're performing at 11 o'clock in the black box, you have the expectation that 3 people are going to show up. when you're streaming on Facebook Live, you have the possibility that many more than 3 people might show up, but it's probably still going to only be 3.
But those numbers hit a little bit harder when it's online. You're like, just 3 people.
Von Wake wants to let me know that a riff and the Homerphilia episode last week ran too long.
Why? Why is he bringing that up right now? Wow, your show is leaking into this show, Andy.
Well, I just, I'm just talking about my life. And did I accidentally mistake a duck at the park for a doctor that I could go to for medical advice? Yes, that happened. I'm sorry I talked about it too long on my podcast.
Maybe we should talk about it more here for Von Wenck, just to make sure that he understands it.
But that was a good example. One of my favorite things as an improviser is to find a little instance in a scene and make it a much bigger deal. So if there's something that tickles you on stage, follow that thought.
Heck yeah.
One of my favorite examples of that is an episode of the podcast Comedy Bang Bang, where this guy was talking about he had just been introduced. He was playing a character, he was like some sort of physician, and they asked him in the first like minute of his time on the show. They asked him some questions about like where he learned medicine. He went to Georgetown, and he talked about he meant to talk about orientation, but he said initiation instead of orientation. And just that word made one of the other improvisers in the room say, like, hold up, you had to get initiated into medical school. And for the next half an hour, they followed that train of thought, and it led them down like a mine shaft to like the middle of the earth, where they were like, they had to like fight their way out with all the other medical students. And like, it's just like that one word
I love that
led to all that stuff. So the doctor bit, if we want to crack that open as improvisers, I can't remember what started it, but Devin said something like, well, if it quacks like a duck, and I was like, oh no, I said something about my doctor, and he was like, well, your doctor's a quack, and I was like, okay, just because my doctor speaks and quacks doesn't mean he's a quack. And then like we just kept following that train of thought. Thought it was funny. Like
for too long, though, according to Van.
For too long. I'm just curious. Just for our
edification.
As we're getting a good amount of feedback from these. We're hearing a lot of people that we already know had been some way involved as performers or fans at Planet Ant. I would be curious to know if Von Wank is somebody that has seen stuff at our place or has found us from some other
do we know
avenue.
Von Wank? Is that what you're saying?
Because we are starting to get people who don't know us and don't know our theater watching some of these streams, and I'd like to know if the word's getting out a little bit.
A shout out to Alex, who's watching us on Facebook and on YouTube apparently. Oh, we got a fan in England watching right now too. He'll sup inside you.
Paul asked another Homerphilia question. That is illegal. We can't show. We can't show clips, or we can't show the episode of The Simpsons we're talking about. We watch it beforehand. They're all for free on Disney Plus. So I know some people do watch them along with us. Most people, I think, don't. So Von Wank does know us. This is very cryptic.
Yeah, I know. Von Wank wants to be mysterious. But Alex Raskov is watching us on his 75-inch television. Is that right, Alex? Is that the size of TV that you got? And his dad said it was too small.
Yeah, too small. Yeah. Alex, thank you so much, Raskov. I'm going to tell my mom I'm on TV. Finally.
Finally made it. I'm on TV, Ma.
Yeah. Is there a genre of improv monologue, or it's not exist?
A channel for improv what?
A genre that people do monologue of improv that.
Like a monologue. Like something.
Monologue, yeah.
Like a monologue style thing. I mean, there's forums that do it. I mean, like you said though, Mahmoud, I think that right now it's an opportunity to kind of like discover something brand new. Like, what if you created something that that was, based on monologues or something? Because monologues would definitely work a little bit better on this format where we're kind of all in our separate little boxes, Yeah.
You know I mean? The most challenging thing for us as performers in this format is not being able to play off each other. Mm-hmm. I think the separating us physically puts a big hindrance on being able to build. A good improv scene is it's already teetering, right? Like the foundation of a good improv scene is not very stable. So it's so hard. It's already so hard to build something that and then play in that space you built without fucking it up when you are in the same room. So to figure out long form in this setting, the biggest thing is just figuring out how to play off each other and how to build off each other's ideas when there's an actual like delay because
exactly.
Yeah.
It's not even like doing a bat where you can just listen to people and just make it all about listening, because it's really hard to let other people interrupt you. It's hard to give and take when you are on camera. It's much more difficult.
Yeah.
And then also, like, a lot of people, like, wearing headphones. Like, you have to wear headphones to make the sound work in a lot of situations, So then you have another impediment as far as that goes. You have to, like, have headphones on your head,
Eels up into eels up. We're doing okay in isolation. We don't have our theater.
Yeah.
So here the one thing about the improv community in isolation is we are all pretty much by definition extroverts. So our entire community of friends and partners are all slowly going insane because they can't do their extrovert things.
Well, I personally have spent long hours in isolation before the pandemic, so I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's tough without having an actual theater. I mean, that is our life. That's like everything that we do is we do comedy theater, we do acting, we do stuff in person, we do stuff in front of audiences, and that's how our art form lives. You know,
I'll tell you one thing about my performing improv that's gonna change after all this. I once let somebody spit in my mouth on stage. That's never gonna happen again. Shit like that. Shit like that's never.
No more spitting in the mouth.
That shit's never gonna happen again ever. I don't care how quickly we defeat this thing. That shit's never gonna happen again.
Yeah. VR, Gavin, I would say VR is absolutely the future of improv, but right now the cost of VR is prohibitive for sure. It's about $1,000 to $1,200 to get a good VR system, and there's been a lot of success from people running talk shows. There's been a lot of success from people doing some really interesting stuff in there. I think that in the future, people are going to have things like, say, like a role-playing game online, and Andy will be hired to be like the shopkeeper, and he knows all the things he can do as the shopkeeper, and then improvise around his character. And then maybe Mahmoud is like the evil boss. I don't know why I made you evil Mahmoud, but you could be like an evil orc or something, and you're like, you know, you have all your different things that you can say and all the things you can improvise as your evil character as they're fighting you, and you know.
I mean,
like
so now everybody in the chat
creative.
Yeah. Everybody in the chat.
For example, the 11 p.m. show, improv show on Saturday can be like streamed online, and at the same time people can attend.
Yeah, that's true. We can, once we get back on stage, we can keep our social distance stream going so that people feel comfortable just watching. We can have
Travis Scott did a concert in the middle of Minecraft, so maybe we host an improv show in fucking Fortnite or whatever the hell.
Well, we wouldn't be able to do it in Fortnite, but we could definitely do it in Minecraft. We could do an improv show in Minecraft and then stream it. That would be ridiculous. Those characters are so
now everybody in the stream is just reminding me of stuff that would not fly in socially distant times that I've done on stage. So
Tony Augusti, I spit on you at Pointless, Andy. No more.
Yeah.
We're kicking someone's glasses off on stage, Paulo Parca says.
Yeah. So that's fun.
What is Thomas Schultz saying with his 3-2 plus 2 people watching? Is he counting all of the streams?
Does that mean 11 people are watching?
It's 10 now according to the restream numbers, but they keep fluctuating up and down. We got 8 on Facebook and 2 on YouTube. If you haven't gone on YouTube yet and given us a like or subscribe, please do that. That helps us on our visibility. That helps with our numbers. It helps our theater survive a little bit during this insane time. So if you could, that would be fantastic.
We are, we're a nonprofit that's struggling to make it through this. Yes, Kate.
We're talking about crazy shit that Andy's done on stage.
If you want to talk, or if you want to help us out, you can engage with us on all of our social media platforms, and then maybe head over to planetant.com/donate and help us out a little bit.
That would be fantastic. We're going to wrap up for today, but I believe we're going to be back next week. We're going to do this every week, Training Center show. And we'll have different guests and some prizes.
Yeah, I think we're gonna come in with people that are currently or have been in the past involved with the Planet Training Center, and get a bunch of you guys coming in. This was fun. Thanks for interacting. We'll do it every week.
Yeah, we will every Saturday at 5 p.m. after Hungry as a Horste, streaming on the Planet Ant channels. Maybe Planet could perform shows online and have a subscription service. Von Wenk, we would love that. But
yeah,
that's
check us out
basically-
at onlyfans.com/Planet Ant.
Yeah. Planet Ant is your home in the pandemic.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Miss you guys, all of you guys out there. It was very nice to have you joining us today. That's it for this week's episode. Next week, maybe we'll even have some theme music. Or maybe we'll put our heads on little bodies and do improv that way. Anyways, that's it for today. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Ba-da.